No vests.
All right. Episode 20. This is the final episode of season 1. It's a little bittersweet. I've had the amount of DMs in our Novest account asking us when we're coming back already is overwhelming. We love the fan support. We gotta tell you, it will be sometime in fall. I don't know if it'll be early fall, late fall. I guess we'll kind of just play that by ear. But I want to start out this episode with giving a shout out to our tech guy, John Ench. Phenomenal job all year. The amount of work that he puts in doesn't go unnoticed. You see the screen, you see the display. He's done a phenomenal job with not too many cuts, but we did have a couple of things that we would get canceled on. He did a great job of taking those out, the intro music, everything. Great job, John. We're going to need you next season. Also, major shout out to my cousin Nick Mihalik with the intro and outro beats. That got a lot of love from our Novesters. Tons of love. I mean, an overwhelming amount of love. He's really does have a talent. I've listened to some of his other music. Check it out. I believe it's Astro ID on SoundCloud. So give him a listen. He's got something going. He's going to be huge. Jalen, now that we're in the final episode of season 1. I mean, how are you feeling about this? Is this bittersweet for you? What's going through your head tonight?
It's bittersweet because, I think we're starting to find our stride a little bit. We're getting in our comfort zone, in front of these mics, and I've really grown to enjoy it. So it'll be good. It's going to be bittersweet though, because it's good to, take time to reflect and see what things we can improve on and maybe, build on. So I'm just glad to see where this thing's going.
There will be some No Vest t-shirts circulating for season 2. I know we got some stuff brewing, some designs from our team. Yep. But Jalen, I want to start off the episode with a little bit of Otchi Gen story time, and this one isn't a very long story, but I was at a bar this last weekend, and I ran into someone that I see around from time to time, in passing occasionally, some mutual friends, if you will, and I was asked out on a date, and I did deny the offer due to prior obligations, I would say, but
on that specific day, they couldn't reschedule it like to a different day, or just
it was a mix of that day and just other stuff that's I don't know where you're going with. Where are we going with this, Jay? Put me on the hot seat early.
Sounds like maybe the status of another relationship is interfering with new potential dates. Would you agree?
So to some degree, yeah, I just didn't really see this,
or relationships. Plural.
I didn't really see that. This certain someone, as someone that I wanted to, engage in a more serious relationship with. So I had to deny the date. But I will go into the story of how it came about, and it really was one of the better attempts I've ever seen to get Otchi Gen, in that atmosphere. Basically, we're playing a game of darts, and I'm on another team or whatever, and she just walks up, doesn't say anything. Phone is on Ticketmaster with the Brewers game, 2 seats. And she just hands it to me, and I'm like, what is this? And she goes, do you want to go to the Brewers game? I was like, 2 of us? She's like, yeah. And I'm like, what day? And she's like, well, look at it. You have it in your hand. And I was like, oh, it's like, July something. And I'm like, oh, yeah, like maybe. I'll let you know. But it was,
it caught me off guard.
It caught me off guard, and the Brewers game, great idea.
Right.
No hate there. It was a bold attempt. I think people need to be more clever in the way they go about things. It was extremely clever. It was well organized. It was well timed. It was a planned attack.
So because I have a few angles on this that I'd like to dive in. Were the tickets pre-purchased, or was this like a pending option, or were the tickets already purchased?
The tickets were not purchased, so it was at the checkout. So all I had to do was just hit checkout.
Okay, so that I think I like that play a little bit more. I was gonna say if she had the tickets pre-purchased, it almost seems like a desperate attempt, like maybe she lost the other date or something, like you don't know but her, spontaneously saying, I want, let's do this right here. I'm showing you on the spot. I think I like that play. I like both plays regardless. This is a good play. Now, the other angle I want to take this, the one-on-one Brewer date, I think can be dangerous because
it's too long.
A, it's too long. B, I don't know about you. Every time I go to a Brewer game, I see a minimum of 2 people that I know.
Yes.
Whether in the parking lot or on the concourse, or even if they're sitting in my section, oftentimes I'll notice someone a couple rows away. And so I just think that could be a dangerous scenario. I know you like to say...
Heaven forbid you get put on the Jumbotron or the Kiss cam. You know, I don't need 40,000 people seeing 30,000 people seeing
super
what
risky,
I'm doing.
But I do like ballpark dates. I will agree that, maybe later on down in the road that could be a great date. So I'm not upset at the attempt. And another thing about this is the straight, it was very straightforward. There was no nonsense, no beating around the bush, as they say, just straight to the point. Boom. Time, place, let's go.
So, I mean, one of the other things was, I know she drives a nice... This might kind of tip my hand a little bit as to who I'm talking about, but I really don't care. She drives a nice BMW.
Right.
And, I always would say, like, when are you going to let me drive the BMW? And she was like, as soon as you take me out on a date. And it was like, well, it looks like I'm never driving your BMW is kind of like my thought process. But I mean, it was a bold play, but well calculated is what I'll say.
Well calculated. I don't know. I think you're kind of downplaying the fact that you turned this date down. It sounds like it was a great date. A nice cruise in a BMW to a Brewer game. You can't beat that. And you declined. I think that is just a big stepping stone in the character development of Otchi Jen. Would you agree?
I'm going through my progressions. I'm like Jordan Love. I mean, you bring me in a training camp. I have all the talent in the world. I'm raw, though. What I'm saying? I need those. I need to develop. I need to get older, get that maturity. Get those reps in, and see what happens.
I'm not saying this, but I think I did see some people say that they miss the old Otchi. I'm just going to throw that out there. I don't know how many Novesters are behind that movement, but there's some people out there saying they miss the old Otchi. That's all.
I'll leave it at that. I believe it. But Jalen, you had a topic you wanted to get into. You got a buddy who you were saying travels around with an iPad a little bit, and it's an old man move. And I want, I'm not going to say what I'll let you get into it. What were you talking about, Jay? Where are we going with this?
Yeah, so basically, this guy, I have a friend, he's a little bit older than us, but he's not an old man by any means. He's a young guy. And he carries around an iPad, and it kind of doubles as his phone. He does have a phone, but it doubles as his phone. I've seen him, kind of take notes, maybe kind of take contacts down on it. And he's like, checking emails and things like that on his iPad on the go, which is totally what the iPad is meant for. I just kind of see that as a super old timer move. You know what I'm saying? Like, I just kind of, and I asked him, like, why? He's like, oh, well, the screen's bigger, I can see things better. I'm like, buddy, you're not that old. Like, are you having trouble seeing? Like, what's going on here? Like, I'm a little worried. I just felt like I had to, I had to take him out, and I was like, here, shotgun this beer or something. Like, do something to feel young again, because, you walking around and taking pictures with this iPad is just it's not
tough.
a good look.
It's tough, and I'll never forget in our freshman year homecoming, one of the dads was taking pictures of us with the iPad. You know, all these girls we had never really. I'd met like maybe one or known like of one or two of their parents, but I'm like, whose dad is showing out with the iPad and just snapping pictures of a group of like 10 teenagers? Like, you've got to be kidding me, man.
Yeah, it's super funny, and it draws a lot of attention. You're right. It's just automatically like, okay, who's this guy and what's he up to? Like,
Yeah,
this is just funny. So yeah, I had to tone him back, but on another hand, I do feel him a little bit because I found myself really kind of looking inward and being like, damn, I'm growing up, because I'm finding enjoyment in things that I didn't think I would. So for example, buying new shoes. I used to like shoes. I'm buying shoes left and right, new colors.
yeah.
Same shoe, different color. You know what I'm saying? I got all these shoes. Now, all of a sudden, I have one shoe that I like, and I've worn it to the point where I now need new shoes. I mean, I have tons of pairs, but I really just want a new version of the same old pair that I have. And I feel like I realized that's kind of growing up right there. It's just when you have the pair and you just buy a new version of the old pair of shoes.
I don't really run into that issue. I try to expand, buy different things, whether it's one of the things I've been into purchasing recently that I can't stop is just like golf accessories. And
Okay.
I'm obsessed with it. I think like golf clothing is like the best clothing. And I think golf attire, and like, here's the thing, like,
It's multi-purpose.
You create a player on like 2K or Madden or whatever, and you get to customize all their shit. Like, that's how I feel with golf. You know what I'm saying? Like, I upgrade my driver. The next year I get a new club, and it's like I'm basically building like this awesome arsenal of golf shit. But here's the problem: I suck at golf, but it's still super fun to like have like the fire golf attire. Like, every time I just go into like a golf shop, even to like check in for a tee time, I find myself looking at golf hats, and I have to buy one. I just have to, like, I can't get in and out of a golf shop without buying at least one new golf accessory.
See, I think you're maybe a little early. Like, it's gonna come eventually where you're gonna find that one maybe color or maybe one specific glove that you found your stroke with, and it's gonna wear out, and you're gonna be like, you know what, I need a new one, but I'm just gonna get this same old glove that I know works.
People say Mahalik in blue on Saturday is a lot like Tiger and red on Sunday. Like, you see me in my blue polo on Saturday, I mean business. I don't want to hear about how your weekend plans or what you and your girlfriend plan on doing. I show up at the course, I check in, I start doing my practice swings, I start stretching out. I mean business when I'm in blue.
Jack, I actually was just taking a drive out towards the coast, and there's a golf course out that way, and I was considering to myself, I should really get into golf. And I've swung a club before, and it doesn't look good, I'll tell you that, but I'd like to think I could pick it up. But the thing that I know is that it is an expensive hobby. Like you said, you're buying thing every time you're in the pro shop. You got all these clubs, the bag, the accessories, this, that. It could be a pricey hobby.
So here's the thing about golf, and which is MVP, we don't talk about enough golf. This should honestly just be a golf podcast, and
we've had a lot of golf talks recently. But it's becoming that slowly, and I'm not upset. But
I don't think a lot of MVPers are upset, but it is a big startup cost initially, right? You got to get your bag, you got to get your clubs, you got to get your balls. But then after that, you find ways of like, dancing around and not spending a ton of money. So I went to like a golf ball wholesaler, and I bought 400 golf balls, like name brand, nice Titleist golf balls for $80, 400 of them.
Right. And I'm not familiar with the ball market, but I'm sure that that's a good bargain.
It's an insane bargain. I could resell them for like $3 a pop, if that makes sense.
Get back.
Yeah.
Fast.
So what you gotta do is you just gotta learn, and as you go on, Jay,
I might get into the golf ball hustle the way you just broke that down. I did a couple numbers in my head. I might be buying out these wholesalers pretty soon.
I did. I was chart marking it up a little bit, even to my close friends. Like, they're like, oh, let me get 50 balls. Like, you can get 50 balls, but I'm charging you a little bit, what I
Yeah.
paid plus a little interest,
Right.
because I need to get that. Yeah, I got to juice it up. But I think what you brought up, Jalen, is pretty funny. Like the old, the young guy with the old man swag. And
I'm talking about getting interested in golf. I mean, that's kind of the oldest sport there is. But yeah, it is something to think about. Because you got the people that are young and they just feel like they're, a lot of times they say, "Oh, I was born in the wrong decade" or something like that. They just want to be older or something. I find myself getting into that a lot.
I think when we bring up old guy with or young man with an old man's soul, my initial thought is just Brad Larson. Like he just has that personality where he gravitates more to 55-year-old guy discussions than he does, people our age. Like he wants to have that. He has old man swag. At the age of 20, I was like, Brad, you realize you are a 50-year-old guy. You talk politics and economy and I'm not saying you can't talk that stuff, but it gets to the point where it's you do need to come back down and talk to people your age occasionally, just so you know what it's like to talk to some of your peers.
Yeah, read the room, they say. Sometimes, we'll be around a bunch of people that have no idea what the hell's Brad's talking about. And you're right. In another situation, in another setting, Brad, he blends right in. You know what I'm saying? And I think, that probably just, I hung out with my dad and his friends a lot. I'm sure Brad also did. So kind of picks up, their
lingo,
swag,
their jive. Yeah.
So yeah, I could totally see that. Brad's a great example.
So one of the next things I wanted to get into, Jalen, was I heard this today. I know we've kind of touched on this prior, but it really just irked me today. It kind of touches on multiple subjects. I was asking my buddy if he wanted to go golfing, next Friday when he's in town, and he hit me with yeah, dude, I'm totally down, but I just got to check with my girlfriend. And I almost hung up the phone. Because just that sentence, I gotta check with my girlfriend and make sure we don't have plans. So, you gotta commit right there, and then you gotta deal with the girlfriend stuff behind the scenes. You know what I'm saying? So if you did have plans, then you're gonna get barked at. You're gonna have to be in the doghouse for maybe a day or two, or you're gonna have to come back to me with maybe a fake excuse like, "Hey man, I just we gotta drive out of town that day. Can't do it. It's just not gonna work."
Yeah, and I think he threw that little tidbit of I have to check and make sure that we don't have plans. I think he threw that in there to kind of soften it up a little bit, when in reality, what he meant was he had to ask permission. Yes. Would you agree?
He needed a permission slip signed.
Yeah, and he threw in that little piece because that is a good excuse. Maybe we had a nice dinner plan for that afternoon or evening or whatever the time is, and that would be an understandable excuse. But if you have nothing, if you have nothing planned and you still go to I need to check with my, you're in way too deep, and you should probably reconsider your whole situation, because you shouldn't need to ask permission for, a simple golf outing or anything really. I know I've heard of people, bachelor parties, or my friends, we're doing a boys trip to Miami or whatever, and it's oh yeah, I don't know if my girl will be happy with that. It's what are we talking about here? I don't think I could ever let somebody hinder my enjoyment just if you're gonna like it or not. I can't help that. That's on you.
That's totally on them. It sounds like we're on the same page. You really shouldn't have to add, especially something so little. If you're going on golf, you're going to a bachelor party for a 3-day bender. You're gonna have to come home and you're gonna have to go the extra mile for a week. Get back, get your brownie points up, get back on the good side. But you can't be. It can't be a maybe. Maybe I'm gonna go to my friend's bachelor party. No, the answer is yes, 100 out of 100.
Right.
Yeah,
it can't depend on whether or not your significant other is gonna be cool with it. That's no good.
It's an absolute no-go. Jalen, why don't we get into to red flags? I kind of, on this last episode, will you let me go 2 for 1? I mean, we got time for
the people. For the people, we'll go 2 for 1.
Okay, so my first red flag of the week, flag numero uno, is, and this is serious. I think we need to take some time and think this through, because people might not red flag this initially. They might just blend right in. But those people that received their driving training through easy method, I'm absolutely red flagging. Now, if you didn't do it through the school or through a legitimate program, and you went through easy method, chances are you never really fully learned how to drive properly. You don't understand the rules of the road, and
I'm taking direct offense. I'm not going to say the first, but this seems like a direct shot at me. I 100% took easy method. And I'm not going to say whether it was good or bad. I will say I was in class with multiple students that drove themselves to driver's ed. So I think that says enough of the kind of crowd that drivers or easy method attracts. But I will say that I'd like to think I'm a great driver. So I'm going to have to refute your argument.
But did you learn those driving methods at easy methods, or did you learn in the future? You had to basically, Jalen, I'm thinking that you almost, it's like homeschooling. Like you self-taught yourself how to drive a vehicle.
I will say this, and I think, what do they say? The statute of limitations. I think this has happened far enough in the past where I can speak on it legally without, we'll talk to my lawyers before this is released, but I did have a fair amount of experience with driving before the time period came where I needed to attend driver's ed. I had full on-road experience. I had done the freeway test. Granted, it was maybe, in the after hours where there was no traffic. But I had real field experience in the driving before driver's ed. So I will say I do accredit a lot of my driving knowledge outside of easy method. I don't know how much. I probably went there to take, you need like the little written
pencil
test, right? I did that, and then that was about it.
So, Jalen, if you are speaking to someone else and you're on a date, and it happens to come up, and she goes, I did my driver's ed at easy method, are you red flagging that?
Now, I'm going to question it, but then I'm going to say, like you said, I may not initially red flag it. It may be something that I overlook, but then,
when she
after
drives you home,
a couple trips in the car, you'll know right away whether or not you should have taken that more seriously than you did.
I'm also, this is red flag 1 part B. Okay,
right.
This is still the same red flag. Those guys that let their girlfriends drive them around. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like, I would rather drive like a girl's car myself than have her drive it. Like, to me, it's just weird to have a girl driving you around, especially because it's just like you don't know if they went to easy method or how it's going to play out in the field. You know what I'm saying?
So I come at it from both ways. I haven't met... I can count less than a handful of females that are above average drivers. You know what I'm saying? The majority, I would say, are
bad.
Well below average
Horrible.
to bad drivers.
Horrible.
And whether that just be directionally challenged, whether it be maybe like a speed fear thing where they don't do well in the high speed traffics.
It's always like they're always going like 5 miles below like the actual flow of traffic.
Right.
Where people who are good drivers go like 10 above the speed of actual traffic.
And I see this in women a lot too, and I'm sure guys do it, but I see it a lot more in women. And actually my mother, she's guilty of this. I hope she's not listening. They love to follow really close. They don't leave much space. They say 1 to 2 car lengths. They're leaving 0 car lengths.
No car
lengths. And it just makes me nervous. But so back to my point, it's rare that you see good female drivers. So yeah, I should probably take that more into consideration when you say the easy method thing, because now that I think about it, the numbers would probably lean towards that easy method, bad driver, red flag. You're probably right.
I also hate
I'm probably
when,
an outlier.
You definitely are. I also hate when there's a yellow light, and instead of speeding up or just maintaining speed to get through the yellow light and get through the intersection, they'll slam on the brakes, and then it's like two cars behind have to go into the right lane and pass you, and it's like, wait, what were you doing? It's like, oh, maybe I could have made that. It's like, maybe? You think that was a maybe?
Yeah, if the cars behind you make it through the yellow light and you don't, that's a problem.
That's
100%.
Yes. All right, Jay, let's get into your RFW, your red flag of the week. What do you got?
So my red flag, now I've thrown this out a little bit amongst some people, and I don't know if it's a generational thing. It's certainly not. It goes men or women. It goes both ways. But and I saw a tweet. I have to before I get into this, I have to credit my boy Adam Clemstein. I saw this on his Twitter. If you order a tuna sandwich anywhere, but specifically at Subway, I'm red flagging that. It's a huge deal. If you're going to the gas station, 7-Eleven, you're pulling out the tuna sandwiches, the tuna salad sandwiches. If you do tuna out of a can at any point, I'm red flagging it. Tuna is cat food, okay? I don't know that it's really meant to be consumed by humans. I can't get past the smell of it. I've never even tried it. I'm just red flagging it all the way.
I am in the same boat as you. I mean, I'm not red flagging it that hard because I hope it never comes up in my day-to-day activities, but I will tell you that the person who brings the tuna sandwich onto the airplane should be banned for life.
It's criminal.
Banned for life. Full-time, lifetime ban.
There's no way that you can convince me that something that smells that awful can taste good. There's just no way. I don't know what else to say.
No, I completely agree with you. I've never really tried it myself, so I can't talk about how it tastes. But I would say
exactly.
I would red flag that all day. I would absolutely.
Let's just say, maybe you had a gym workout or something. Maybe you're grabbing a Subway before or after. I don't know what your meal prep I don't know how you're trying to make gains. And they order the tuna.
Yeah, that's tough.
And you have to take that seriously after that. It's just I just can't do it. And I said, I know it's gonna knock out. This is another one where a lot of people are gonna be upset. They're gonna be like, "Whoa, you're talking about me here. I love a tuna salad, especially from Subway." They're gonna say that's my favorite one, and I just have to look at you a little differently. I think we need to kind of bring it back a little bit, because with these red flags, people are going to assume that these are deal breakers. These are not deal breakers. All right. It's not like I'm not going to talk to you or we can't be friends or anything like that. Sometimes there are extreme cases of the red flag, but a lot of these times, all we're saying is, okay, red flag popped up. We're logging that so that when other things happen down the line, we aren't surprised.
Yes.
We aren't. That's all we're saying.
That's
here.
the red flag.
Don't be surprised.
Don't be surprised. You got to. The problem is the red flags are not that big of a deal.
Right.
They're
not as extreme as we try to make them.
But when you ignore them and then you wonder why it didn't work, you got to be jotting these things down. And if if these red flags keep dinging, boom, 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 hey, you might have a problem, my guy. Down the road, there's going to be some bigger stuff that's hidden underneath these red flags.
Right. And I don't we haven't, me and you have done extensive research. We'll have to kind of number crunch and maybe get out there, but you can definitely, red flags are natural.
Yeah.
People have red flags built in, you know what I'm saying? They're going to happen. So the point that we're making is when they become overwhelming and there's just red flags left and right, those are those extreme cases where the combinations of these red flags, you know what I'm saying? It's safe to make those assumptions when you have 5 or 6 connecting red flags. you can stay safe in those situations.
I
you know
agree.
what I'm saying? But 1 or 2 or 3, like I said, I don't know the exact number. They're definitely acceptable.
But so I'm done with my red flags for the week. This isn't really a red flag, but more of just like I want to open up the discussion board, if you will, Jay. And this was brought up, and I think that this is a red flag, and this is also just like, I think this is more of just like a personal problem that someone could have. If your buddy like breaks up with a girl and you think that you had like a close friendship with that girl enough to the point where you think you should shoot your shot, that is a big problem. Now, I'm not saying there's been like a specific scenario, but I hear the horror stories, or I just hear, I hear stories about like that dude's like best friend, like DM me like a week later. It's like, dude, like I just don't get it. You know what I'm saying? I'm not on board with it, Jay. Either way, I don't think it's right either way. Now, it's just a sticky situation. Otchi doesn't dabble in those waters. I just don't do it.
I agree, and while that's also a code that I hold, I've heard some other perspectives that have opened my mind up to kind of be a little bit more accepting of the other side. So and the argument that's made, and I kind of feel like that sometimes too, but not I'd be lying if I said that this was my predominant way of thinking. But the way of thinking is, if it wasn't meant for me, it wasn't meant for me. And who am I to kind of dictate whether or not, like, let's say they did have some kind of crazy, great, perfect connection, and I'm the guy that says that that's not cool because I'm friends with them, To me, that's kind of fucked up. Yeah. And so I do agree with that, but I would be lying to say that I wouldn't be upset if a friend tried to talk to my ex, especially quickly after.
I think it's more on, I know exactly what you're saying. Like, you shouldn't, try to stop someone from having a great relationship. I completely agree with that. I'd say it's just weird that it's so frequent and it happens so quickly, because I think it's like, oh, like they just broke up, like, oh, they're probably gonna get a boyfriend quickly, or I think it's most of the time it's the dudes who hit on the girls that are freshly broken up, not so much as like when a girl breaks up with a guy that her friends, like hop on board. I think that's more of like a weird outlier scenario.
Like you're right. I think girls tend to respect the code a little bit more, where guys are willing to kind of fire at it. Like, they see a girl single, they're like, oh, that's an open.
She's got to be vulnerable at this point, coming out of a
I agree. Guys probably take advantage of that a little bit more.
Yeah, I'm red flagging that all day. I just think that that's something that needs to be talked about on MVP. And then my other thing I wanted to get to talk about real quick is, like, Jay, how do you feel? Because I've had some mixed feelings about this specifically. And it's women that are vegetarian versus women that eat meat. I don't know how I feel about it, because I feel like there's pros and cons to both sides. And I'll explain my reasoning. Pro, if they're vegetarian, they're normally in pretty good shape. They're maintaining their body well. Right. But the problem is when you go out to eat, like, I don't want to go to a vegetarian spot I don't want to have you questioning, like, what's your vegetarian menu? Right. Like, I think the best option is, like, you're a vegetarian, but you're not, like, a true vegetarian. Like, you'll eat chicken, maybe, like, some fish. So you can dabble into the poultry a little bit.
Right.
But I think, I don't know. I mean, Jay, how are you feeling about this, Jay?
So, I think, I totally want people to do whatever makes them happy. It's when they start trying to push their thoughts or opinions onto you. So when they start, like, shaming you or, like, trying to convince you that their way is better, that's kind of when I'm not interested. And like you said, there are pros and cons. And I'd like to say that I'm at a bit of an advantage. Out here in California, vegetarian options are like standard almost. You pretty much can go anywhere and find a vegetarian and or vegan option, which I will say is very different in Wisconsin and other parts of the country as well.
Yeah.
But in California specifically, especially in this region I found myself in, there's a lot of vegetarian options. So that's usually not a problem going, you pretty much pick a spot and they're going to have some kind of vegetarian option. So it's usually not an issue. But like I said, when they try to like push it onto you, like, oh, why are you eating that? Or you should be doing this or that. It's like, now I'm kind of losing it.
But what, Jalen, I get your point. You made a great point there. But what would you prefer? I guess I need to unpack your answer a little bit. You're saying you would prefer what they would prefer, but I'm asking Jalen Fisher, if you had a choice, vegetarian, non-vegetarian, and you know the benefits and the perks of both sides. I mean, which way are you leaning? Which way is your scale tipping?
Come on, look at me. I'm a big guy. Like, I eat a lot of meat. Like, I'm a vegetarian's not ideal because like there are going to be chicken wing nights. You know what I'm saying? There's going to be barbecue nights where I'm like, and a lot of the times you can't really accommodate in those situations.
No.
Like, I don't know what to do for you when it's wing night. Like, some places have the cauliflower wings or whatever, but like, let's get serious. So I would definitely enjoy it more if they were able to enjoy a nice wing Wednesday with me. Would you agree?
I would agree. I would say, you need to be careful a little bit with what markets you're getting yourself into. I mean, if she's throwing down more wings, if she's throwing more wings down than Jay Fish.
No, I don't turn away. I don't shame. We're accepting of all shapes and sizes here, Jack.
There you go. I'm MVP. You heard it here. Absolutely no shame. We love everybody. Jay, that was awesome. Anything else you want to get into? I mean, it's episode 20. There's been so many topics we've really gotten into, and I can truly say I've had so much fun on this with you. We will be coming back for season 2, absolutely. It's funny to think, now when I go out and talk to people, they're like, it's unbelievable that what started off as just me and you using a Twitter hashtag has gone into a global phenomenon of a podcast, and we continue to grow. But I guess I just want to know, like, what are your thoughts, Jay?
I'm eager to get back to it. Like you said, I'm ready to get in the lab, take a little bit of time off, enjoy, we got the 4th of July coming up, things like that. So really enjoy the summer a little bit, as well as, look back and reflect and really see what can take this thing to the next level. I think, I've been talking with producer John a lot, and, we just have some big ideas for season 2 and beyond. I think we're going to be a big thing. I think people aren't ready for us. And like you said, we don't have a specific date, but, I like to tell people before this thing started, stay ready so you don't have to get ready.
Stay ready so you don't have to get ready. It's that simple.
It's going to be coming.
We're going to the moon. We plan on having a ton of guests season 2. We've already been talking with A-Rod's people, Alex Rodriguez's agent, to get him on for episode 1 of season 2. It's been tough to lock him down, but we're getting, some verbal commitments. Nothing's in writing yet. Nothing's in writing. But
we've also tried to talk to Jay Cutler, big Novester and Jay Cutler. I know you saw him. He's trying to get half of his ex-wife's business. So we're all for that.
Yeah,
we're all for that equality. So we were trying to get him, but like I said, like same with A-Rod, he's going through a ton of stuff. So a lot of Novesters out there that you wouldn't think.
No.
We got big things coming. So
I will say this is, and I don't know if you've had this, Jay, but I think that somehow Novest is almost 50-50 in its fan base between males and females. I actually have more women reach out to me and saying like, "Wow, that we find your show hilarious," than a lot of dudes. So Novest is for everyone, and I just appreciate everyone who's tapped in, whether you've tapped into episode 1 and only episode 20 after that, or you've tapped into every single one. Each listen means something.
The first and last time listeners, we love them all equally. And those who are rocking with us, we're we're hoping, that you're going to be along for this crazy ride because we're going to the moon.
We're going to the moon
multiple times.
We're going global. We are global.
We're currently global. Like I said, we've got shouts out Denmark, Germany.
There was a lot of action in Germany this week.
Yeah. So we got love globally. So
we have global love.
We got that going for us.
But I just want to say once again, thank you to all of our no-vesters out there. If you do want a T-shirt, we still are, giving some away. We got a couple T-shirts from episode 1 we still need to just give out to some of the diehard fans. It's been a lot of people reaching out to us for those last T-shirts, but season 2 we're coming out with new edition T-shirts. Shout out to all of our guests. Every single last one of you brought a lot to the table, and we will continue. Stay ready so you don't have to get ready. It's that simple. Jalen, anything else you want to say? This is Otchi Jen signing off episode 20, season 1. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Swim at your own risk.
Swim at your own risk, baby.
That's all I got.